Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Everybody knows that true crime can be a real buzz killer. So why not pair it with a nice glass of wine?
Join us, Macy and Nicole, the hosts of Buzzkillers, a true crime podcast, as we drink our way through new bottles of wine every week while navigating true crime cases, conspiracy theories, and even some spooky haunts.
The deep dives are kept light with banter and personal tales, and even the occasional boozy hiccup.
Listeners are encouraged to grab a drink of any kind and tune in every Sunday as we tell the tales of the wicked that plague this world.
Buzzkillers can be streamed on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere else you like to listen. Check out our website, www.buzzkillerspodcast.com, for more information.
Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Diva.
This is Twisted Listers, a podcast about murder
and lists.
And you all have no idea how happy I am to not be saying that by myself this week.
Yay!
Yay, Diva's back.
Yeah, we're back to our regular scheduled format programming. Thank you, Cindy, for filling in during my time of great woes.
Yes, dude, it was weird doing it alone. Like, I feel like the first time that I did that, like last year, it went way smoother. Although
it was great.
Well, the second one I released, I'm really proud of. The first one, it was like 9 a.m. I was on like 4 hours of sleep. And I just remember feeling like psychotic while I was doing it and like not editing it and being like, this is great. So who knows? But the second one, I was like, yeah, this really is great. So anyway, there was my manic moments, guys. But Diva's back. Thank God. And I'm actually sad that you didn't get to discuss the cases with me because I thought they were really cool. So maybe sometime...
To do a director's cut where I just like listen to it back and keep like little sassy comments.
I would love that. I'll edit that shit together. Anyway, we're on the Podmoth Podcasting Network. Check out all the other podcasts. They're amazing. And this week, I forgot spree killers.
Yes, spree killers. I wanted to do this topic forever. It's like killers who, not like a family annihilator, but like killing multiple people of different formats. Maybe people they know, people they don't, just like a blitz of murders, and without a ton of breaks, just like boop, 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 boop.
Back to back to back. So yeah, it's a good one. I at first was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this, because sometimes I feel like when we have a killer that's done so many murders, it's hard to cover them all in the time frame that we kind of give ourselves. But I kind of figured out how to research it in a way. And also spree is a little bit different than like serial killer. So, you know, I think this works really well. Once I started researching, I was stoked. So,
yeah.
Do we have any news, anything to report?
No, there's lots of true crime news happening. We need to do a little like crime convo for Patreon because I just want to talk about Murdaws.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that really bad.
Yeah.
So
I've been posting updates, news and whatnot on the Instagram. So you guys can go to Instagram. What is it? / Twisted Listers PCast?
Yes.
Yeah, you always do that, so it felt weird. But anyway, you guys can find us there and follow along. I post almost every day. I don't think I posted anything today, but I always wait and try to find like compelling news articles for the true crime community, so you guys can check that out there. But yeah, with all that said, should we just hop on into the cases?
Yes, let's do it. I think you're going first.
I am, and I'm excited. So this was the second case I chose, but it was so interesting that I decided to do it first. It's not even like, I don't know, it's just like a cool story. Like it just has a good flow. So I was like, this is the one. So I'm going to do Billy Cockeyed Cook. And that is his name, Cockeyed Cook. So he was born William Edward Cook in December 1928 in a, quote, tumble-down shack in Joplin, Missouri, which makes me think it was, I honestly see like a 4x4 room, but I think it was like a house because there were definitely like a bunch of other kids. And in fact, he was the fifth of 8 children. And he was very unfortunately born into a life of extreme violence and abuse. His father was a drunk, and his mother died when he was only 5 years old, meaning he definitely had younger siblings as well, since he was the fifth of 8. So we're talking like she probably died months after his last sibling was born.
Yeah.
After her death, things went from bad to worse. And Billy and his siblings were later found abandoned in a mine cave where they had been dumped by their father. So
Wow.
he just abandoned 8 kids in a mine cave.
Mine
in
cave. Couldn't have
Missouri.
gone to like a adoption agency or
Fire station.
Yeah.
Just leave them downtown. He stuck them in a cave.
It's kind of like Wild West-ish. Like,
well, it is. I mean, it's Joplin, Missouri in the
Yeah.
fucking mid-30s, you know? So I feel that's actually probably a very good description of what it was.
yeah.
So besides having a horrible home life, Billy was also born with a growth on his right eye, and he had a surgery to fix it, which unfortunately left his eyelid permanently damaged, and he could no longer fully close this eye, even when he was sleeping, which is really creepy. I have an ex who has an ex whose eyes didn't close all the way when they slept, and I was told that it was very weird. So, did you know that's a thing? Some people, like,
No.
occasionally they'll fall asleep and their eyes don't close.
You
fully.
kind of see the eyes open. Wow.
Yeah,
No,
they're like
never seen
slightly
that.
open. Yeah, really, like kind of disconcerting. I'm sure I've never seen
Yeah.
it, but I think if I did, I'd be like, "That's weird." I shouldn't say anything though because I twitch before I go to sleep because of my Tourette's, and like people who sleep next to me get really used to it, so it's probably like that, not that big of a deal. Anyway, he couldn't close one eye. So
Okay.
people didn't like this. People were like afraid of him. I mean, this is the 30s, so you know, I guess it was a more simple time. I don't know, but children and adults alike were scared of him. He was treated like a freak, and in fact, all of his siblings were able to find foster homes, but nobody wanted Billy because of the way he looked, which is so fucked up because he's like a child under 10.
Wow.
And like, yeah, people are just like, no, you are not deserving of love because you have a wonky eye. Like,
Because like eugenics, essentially, like
yeah, it's fucking crazy.
we don't like how you look. Yeah.
We don't like how you look, so we're just gonna let you die, which is so insane.
Wow.
Finally, a woman was paid by the state to take him in, and he lived with her for a short while before landing in reformatory school. His foster mother did try to care for him. You know, she did her best, but she was really ill-equipped. I think one of the reasons she took him is because she didn't have a job and she didn't have any money. So, you know, she would buy him gifts for Christmas, and specifically 2 Christmases in a row, she bought him a bicycle, only to have it taken away shortly thereafter when she wasn't able to make the payments on it. So she like bought it on credit and had it repossessed 2 Christmases in a row. So I cannot.
So sad.
It's so sad. Like I feel so bad for
Jesus.
this child, you know.
Right.
So his foster mother did try to care for him, didn't really work out, and he got himself in trouble and ended up in reformatory school, like I said. From there, he went to another family, but kept getting in trouble for fighting. He was apparently like really quiet and reserved, but was not good at controlling his anger. So he'd get in a ton of fights. Like people would mention something about his eye and he'd just like freak out on them. So he was in and out of juvie and prison all the way up until he was 21, at which point he found his father still living in that shack in Joplin and told him he was going to, quote, live by the gun. So he's 21. He's pissed off at the world. His dad's a drunk in a shack. His mom's died. He's been abandoned. He's been shit on his whole life. He's basically like, fuck this.
Wow.
He had tattoos, which in like the 30s and 40s was that was still like, if you have a tattoo, you are a criminal.
Yes.
And
yes.
not only did he have them, but he had them on his fucking knuckles. And so both of his hands, like the top row of knuckles said hard and the bottom row of knuckles said luck. So hard luck on both hands, which I have to tell you, I saw that and I was like, damn, that's kind of fucking cool.
It's a little cool. I mean, that was I was gonna say that's a little cool.
It's a little cool. Like I gotta give it to him. This guy is a complete piece of shit, but like that was pretty hard.
I mean, like if someone did it now, they're probably douchey, but like for that time, it's
they're probably
kind
like
of
a barber.
Yeah,
Or
now it's like whatever.
or like a
But
chef.
but for that time, you'd be like,
Yeah.
wow, that's
that's
sinister.
Yeah, that guy's evil. And he is. And we'll talk about it.
Okay.
He moved to California. He decided to live by the gun, but moved and got a job. He got a job in
Okay.
California. It wasn't a great job. He was washing dishes. But then he bailed to El Paso, Texas, and started actually living outside the law, first by buying a gun, probably with his dishwashing money. He then went to Lubbock, Texas, where he hitched a ride from a 56-year-old mechanic named Lee Archer. During this ride, he quickly took Lee hostage using this gun he just bought. Then he robbed and abducted him, obviously, forcing him into the trunk of his own car. Lee began banging on the trunk trying to get out and finally escaped by using a crowbar that was in the trunk to pry it open. He waited for Billy to slow down to take a turn and jumped out while he was like on the freeway. Again, like this is a car in like the 40s, so it probably wasn't like the world's fastest car.
Going 2 miles per hour, yeah.
Yeah.
Slow drop. Yeah.
Yeah, but he did like roll out of it, which is still kind of crazy. Billy heard him. He stopped the car. He even took aim, pulled his gun out, and did not shoot at Lee, despite threatening to do so, because Lee just kept running. He was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
So he just took off in Lee's car. He's like, fuck it. I got his car. I'm going to go. Shortly thereafter, he ran out of gas and got stuck on the side of the road. So he flagged down a family who agreed to give him a ride. This unfortunately proved to be a fatal mistake. 33-year-old Carl Mosser, a farmer from Illinois, was driving with his family on the way to visit other family kind of post-holidays. I think this was like December 31st, I want to say, December, right around that time. So it was after Christmas, but I think they were doing like after Christmas holiday visiting, right? His wife Thelma, as well as their 3 children, 7-year-old Ronald Dean, 5-year-old Gary Carl, and 3-year-old Pamela Sue were also in the car. And I guarantee you she went by Pammy Sue, which is fucking adorable. So just like with the mechanic, Billy took this family hostage and for whatever reason, like made them drive around aimlessly for like 3 days, like in the car. Like they would drive and then they would like sleep in the car.
It's so scary.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Just like hanging out. And you wonder, you don't want to victim blame it. Why didn't they like just make a run for it? Or
I have an idea about that, which will come up in a minute. But it's a good question, and it got answered during my reading, and I was like, dude, that is fucked up, but kind of makes sense.
Okay.
So they went from Texas to Oklahoma, and then to Arkansas, and then finally, while getting gas in Wichita Falls, Carl tried to overpower Billy and actually had succeeded. Like they were in the store getting gas, and Carl like attacked Billy to try and like take control, right? But the clerk at the store pulled a gun on the two and was like, get the fuck out of here. And Carl was like, please, this man has abducted me and my family. He's holding us hostage. He has a gun. Please help us. And the clerk was like, nope, you're just 2 assholes fighting in my store. Get the fuck out. Yeah.
So he literally tried.
Yeah, he tried. He was so close to freedom, but this stupid fucking clerk was like, nope, get out. As soon as the two were outside of the store, Billy pulled the gun on Carl. And the clerk saw this. So the clerk at first locked the door and like hid, like, oh no, and fucking hid. And then once they took off, the clerk was like, oh my God, I've made a mistake. He starts chasing them in his car. He doesn't call the cops. He doesn't fucking, he just kicks them out, watches the abduction, and then tries to chase them down. He followed them for a while, and then Billy started firing the gun at him. So he turned around and finally called the police. So the police came in a hurry, but unfortunately, it was too late. They had disappeared. From what I've read, I think they drove around for about another day. But Billy was pretty spooked by this, and he knew the cops were on him. And apparently, at one point, some cops drove by while he was with the family, and he had had enough. So he pulled over to the side of the road and shot the car full of bullets.
Shot the car?
Shot the car with all of the family inside.
That's so like old timey.
It is. It's very like Bonnie and Clyde kind of.
Yeah. Spoiler alert for part 2. Wink, wink.
Oh shit! Sorry.
I'm gonna do Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah.
Sorry. Before killing them, he told them he would let them go. He's like, I'm just going to tie you guys up and leave you in the car because I need to get away. So he made the family feel like they were safe. And then he tied them up and shot half of them execution style, but also like through the car, and then killed the children with body shots, including like bullets through their hearts, which is fucked up.
Jesus.
He then drove around in this car with the dead bodies inside till 3 a.m. He ended up back in Joplin, where he found an abandoned mine shaft, which I think is very similar to a mine cave, which is like kind of a full circle moment. And he dumped the entire family into this shaft. He then drove to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he dumped the car. And he then hitchhiked back to Blythe, California, apparently not killing anybody or taking anybody hostage during this time. I think he just wanted to get out of Dodge, get back to a place that he knew or thought he was safe. Now, I'm not sure how they knew, but the police did know it was Billy they were looking for, and they started a manhunt 2 days after the murders when the family's car was found in a ditch full of blood and bullet holes and bullets. Police knew Billy had lived in Blythe, so they sent a deputy, what the fuck was that? Deputy. They sent a deputy to an auto shop where he had worked for a time to question one of his friends. As this deputy was doing this, Billy jumps out from behind a doorway, gun in hand, and takes the deputy hostage. Right? Yeah. So that was kind of like a mass murder before.
Right.
This is spree killing. So remember, we're not.
Right. That was one stop on the road here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He, what was that? Oh, he then drove this man around aimlessly, which I guess is kind of like his thing, is like what he does. And then he pulled over on a road and made this deputy get out and lie face down in a ditch. Now, where he had told the family he was going to release them and then killed them, he told this guy that he was going to shoot him in the back of the head, but then he didn't. He just stole his cop car and drove away.
Oh my God.
This man is not a victim, like in the sense that he was murdered.
Right, right.
Billy would later say that on his first stint in Blythe, he had worked with the deputy's wife, and she had treated him more kindly than anyone else in his life ever had. So he spared the deputy as a favor to her since it was her husband.
Oh, okay. A lot of thought put into that.
Very benevolent.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
The deputy was found a few hours later, the police car just after that, about 7 miles away in a ditch. So Billy had used the cop car to pull over yet another motorist, a man by the name of Robert Dewey, who he then abducted and forced once again to drive him around. This guy doesn't really have an idea what he's doing. He just likes to abduct people.
Yeah.
The two struggled at one point, and Robert Dewey ended up being shot but not killed. But I think this pissed Billy off as he then shot him in the head, dumped him, and took his car down to Mexico. While in Mexico, he dumped the car and abducted yet 2 more men.
Oof. Yeah, not a lot of planning. Just like driving, abducting, driving.
Yeah.
Just,
It feels a little From Dusk Till Dawn. Like when I was reading this, I was like, this is what they do in the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. They abduct like various people. They kill some. They don't kill others. They end up in Mexico. It's like kind of, I was like, did Quentin Tarantino know this story? Like, what's going on?
Well, actually, a lot of spree killers also don't have that much planning. They're just sort of like winging it.
Hence the spree. And also like a lot of spree killers will leave some people alive and kill other people. And it's really fucking random. Like, I've noticed that. So anyway, these two were prospectors because that was definitely a thing back then, which is so weird to think about. So he took them hostage. They had a car. He forced them to drive him around in their car for nearly a week. And these two survive. And I'll just tell you, they both said the reason they didn't try to escape, and I think this is interesting because it may also be why the family didn't try anything, was that they weren't able to tell when Billy was asleep because his eye never fully closed. So they were like, if we try to escape and he's not actually asleep, he's going to fucking shoot and kill us.
He's got one eye on him.
Always.
Sorry, that was me. Horrible. I mean,
I'm not deleting that.
Okay.
This guy is horrible. So anyway.
It's okay.
It was terrible, but now he's a murderer. So,
well, I mean, he literally kind of did. I mean,
he did.
They couldn't tell if he was honestly eyeing him or not.
They honestly, that is why they didn't try to escape. So he's in fucking Mexico, and they know, like the authorities know, because American cops are like, "Hey, this is happening," you know. And finally, Tijuana's chief of police tracked Billy down and took him into custody after finding him in a cafe. And it was just easy as that. They surrounded him, guns drawn, arrested him, and freed his captives. Totally like not like, you know, anticlimactic. Okay. That same day that he was found in Mexico, the Mosser family was finally found in the mine shaft because they had not been found to that point.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Billy was
there's a mine shaft symmetry there as well.
That's what I said. Yeah, it came full circle. Like the mine cave, the mine shaft. Yeah.
Mine shaft.
Yep. I mean, it's very similar. But yeah, that was his full circle moment, like dumping them. Like I feel like that was really like symbolic, which is again, like fuck him. He killed children, but it's also like kind of sad in a way, you know? Like there's a lot of like pain happening, you know? What's that saying? Like hurt people hurt people. It's true, but it's like this is a pretty extreme version of that.
Are you like Dr. Phil now?
I am. I was thinking more like The Office. Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. Very similar.
Oh my God. I just listened to the best podcast about Dr. Phil. That guy's insane.
He's a piece of shit. I catered like not like when I was a catering server, I worked his wife's wedding and it was like the most extravagant, over the top, just like disgusting display of wealth, and like it was horrible. But I also saw Katy Perry perform for like 150 people. And man, she's fucking good, dude. She pretended she was like, she might as well have been performing for like 1 million people. Like the way that the energy, and like she did a really good job. I'm sure they gave her a lot of money. So anyway, so Billy here, that was a weird aside. Billy was taken back to Oklahoma, where a judge tried him without a jury and gave him a 300-year sentence, but with the possibility of parole.
Okay.
And the reason he did this is because psychiatrists were split on whether or not he was even sane enough to stand trial. He had seen 7 since his arrest. 3 said he was sane. 4 said he was not. So this judge made this weird decision where he was like, well, he's sane enough to stand trial, but not sane enough to be put to death, which I guess makes sense. You know,
I'm shocked for the time they even gave a fuck about that distinction. Oftentimes they were killing mentally ill people right and left.
Well, yeah. I mean,
still are, but
we have psychos on Instagram saying to chop their heads off and shit. Like,
yeah, Cindy was just getting an argument on Instagram
with somebody who's like, cut his head off. And I'm like, there's something deeply wrong with you if you think that this is like an acceptable thing to say. But anyway, so Oklahoma at the time, and pretty much everywhere else, had the death penalty. So, you know, people were fucking pissed. They were like, how dare this judge without a jury impose this sentence and like think this is okay? And so it was like big news at the time. The Department of Justice, realizing people were not going to accept this sentence for a man who murdered an entire family, stepped in and decided that they would allow Billy Cook to be extradited to California, who at the time also had the death penalty. Yeah. And California is where he shot and killed Robert Dewey. So he was found guilty of that murder in less than 50 minutes by a full jury, who then quickly sentenced him to death.
Okay, never mind about the
yeah.
That.
No. When he heard the verdict, he said, I hate everybody's guts and everybody hates mine. He had previously told reporters while in Oklahoma that he expected to be hanged, but in the end, it was the gas chamber that got him. On December 12th, 1952, just 11 days before his 24th birthday, he was 23 years old, Billy Cockeyed Cook was put to death in the California gas chamber. Wow. His body was then taken to Comanche, Oklahoma, where 15,000 people came to view it before his family put an end to this like weird ass show. And he was quietly buried in the middle of the night in Peace Cemetery in Joplin, Missouri.
2 questions. Yes. First of all, was that in San Quentin? Or where was he executed?
I actually didn't see. I do believe it was.
Was Alcatraz still open?
Ew, I forget. I actually didn't write it down. Ooh, okay. Bad research.
I wondered because Alcatraz makes it spookier.
It does. Then, I'm so glad you just said the word spooky because I have one more thing. But what's your next question?
My next question was, can we talk about how prevalent the showcasing of criminals' bodies was on tour in this country?
Dude, that's so fucking weird.
For a long time.
It's medieval, like those weird like murder carnivals that you talked about on the Patreon.
No. Yeah,
it's like
murder carnival.
Really
it is a medieval European thing as well. But we also just casually did it. This is why when people are like, "Oh, we've come so far and we're such a technologically advanced society," I'm like, "No, we're evil.
We're still just like weird, like like animals, like gaping at like crazy fucked up shit." Yeah. So I'm really glad you said spooky though, because while I didn't do my due diligence on my research and figure out exactly where he died in California, what I can tell you is that Peace Cemetery in Joplin, Missouri is fucking haunted.
Oh, he's haunting a cemetery?
Maybe. I'm going to read. This is an exact excerpt from an article that I read, and I'll link it in the show notes. And it reads, in December of 1987, 3 Carl Junction, Missouri teenagers. Apparently there's a place called Carl Junction, which like, who was Carl and how did he get that name on a city?
I'm sure he was like, this is my junction.
Yeah. I love this is my junction.
That's
like,
the whole story.
Yeah. And we were like, all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so 3 teenagers from Carl Junction, Missouri, Theron Rowland, James Hardy, and Ronald Clements beat fellow teen Stephen Newberry to death with baseball bats. The 3 claimed to be Satanists that had tired of killing animals and had been planning Newton's murder for some time. While bludgeoning Newton, the 3 allegedly screamed, "Sacrifice to Satan, sacrifice to Satan." James Hardy, one of the murderers, later told psychiatrists that he had been possessed by the evil spirit of Billy Cook. At the time of the killing, James Hardy was an honor student and his class president. Many people believe that this broken cemetery is one of the most haunted locations in Jasper County. East Church Cemetery has been the home to hundreds of paranormal investigations, and people have reported all sorts of spirit activity centered around this old Baptist cemetery.
Oh my God. That's like an American Horror Story like thing. That's like a creepypasta.
Yeah. He's like a fucking straight A student, class president, yada yada, and he fucking murders this guy while saying he was possessed by Billy Cook. So I feel like that's really fucking crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, there it is.
Oh my gosh.
That's the story of Billy Cockeyed Cook.
I'm glad you're doing an old-timey one, and I have one. I went one old-timey, one modern.
Me too.
Yeah, but I think it's because, as I mentioned, for some reason, spree killings are very like mid-century. They're very like 30s to 50s.
Yeah.
That was like it was like the hot thing, you know.
Yeah, we have mid-century Danish modern and mid-century spree killing.
Spree killing. Yeah, no, it was a thing, and it's like, you know, with leather jackets and like your. What's like a 50s rebellion thing? Motorcycles or like
cigarettes and greased hair.
Tattoos, which were scandalous.
Oh, very.
At the time, yeah. All right. So I'm really excited for this because I did this Fun Lady way back in the beginning podcast, which is an episode that's long since gone because it was in our early days.
Yeah.
This is Joanna Dennehy.
Oh, I do remember you doing this. I'm glad you're redoing it because it is down, and I think you're going to do a much better job than we did.
Much better job. And what a colorful lady. There's going to be so many twists and turns here because she's got a lot of spunk, let's say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It has to happen in Peterborough in the UK, also known as the Peterborough Ditch Murders.
Okay.
This happened in March 2013, so it's weirdly the 10-year anniversary, like now.
Oh, it is, dude. Weird.
Yeah, very weird. Also, 3-year anniversary of COVID. Happy birthday to COVID.
I read, I was like, oh my God, it's March 13th. Like, ooh, yeah. I don't like this date. I'm not down. I'm glad it's over.
COVID-versary.
Yuck.
Yeah, we actually. I think March might be a cursed month. I don't like it. All right, so
I'm with you. Yeah.
So Joanna at this time was 30. She came from a fairly normal background, which is often noted about her, like her no huge childhood trauma to note or anything. Kind of middle class family, was like whatever. She pretty much just got into drugs and were partying in her teen years, which is, you know, to be expected. She would later lie and say she was abused as a child and say that she killed her father, like kind of in revenge. But it's a fact that didn't happen.
Okay. So she didn't kill her father?
No.
Okay.
So she's just, she had 2 kids pretty young with a boyfriend. And she was just like, nah, not into being a mom. Just like looked at them like, nah. She just never got attached to her own kids, according to people. And by 2009, her boyfriend took them on full time. So thankfully they had a parent that cared.
Okay, that's good because that's weird. I get like not immediately being attached to your children. Like that actually happened to me. Like it took me a while to be like I was like, is something fucking wrong with me? It took like a few months just to be quite fucking honest and plain about it. But to like never, she was just like, I can't understand that.
She was just never into the whole mom thing.
But go ahead and have a bunch of kids, huh?
Well, she did. Thankfully they have some family.
Right.
So she spent various stints in and out of psychiatric treatments and also in prison. When she was getting treated for things, she was at one point diagnosed with both antisocial personality disorder and psychopathic personality disorder, both of which very much track with
Yeah, that's also
Yeah.
just like not like we're gonna diagnose you with this. Bye, have a good day.
Bye,
Like,
yeah.
like I feel like that should go somewhere. Like that should resolve
Right, it was
somehow.
some follow-up cares, but probably the care is probably not adequate.
Yeah.
So some of Joanna's interests here include collecting crazy knives, which there's an iconic photo of her with her tongue out, like with a knife that's like a dagger, you know, that a pimply basement dwelling pale man would have, right? Like a big giant, like crazy dagger. So she's a dagger type person, right?
Yeah, those type of people are always fucking annoying.
There was a murderer, I forget his name, who I did for the Patreon, who also had that same picture.
Oh, that fucking motherfucker. Yeah, that guy was the worst. Yeah.
Also had knife photos. He's also into worshiping her heroes, Bonnie and Clyde, the legendary spree killers that I will cover in part 2.
I like what you're doing there. You're bringing it around. That's
great.
She
loved them. And she also, I just wanted to note, was really into dramatically overplucking her eyebrows. So just like teensy little eyebrows, right?
I mean, if this happened in 2004, she wasn't necessarily like off trend. You know, I feel like that.
No, 2013.
Oh, 2013. Oh, girl.
Way too late for that.
10 years behind.
No, I had the eyebrows too for a while. I understand, but this is a little past that time.
Yeah, I never did. You know that? Like the only thing
proud.
all I do is shave the unibrow. Like that's it.
I always have to shave my unibrow.
Yeah, I just shave my unibrow and then let it just do what it does.
I mean, if I wanted to be free to call over Halloween, though, I could really just like let it go. But
that's a good idea. You were already though, but you painted it in.
I painted it in.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So that's some of Joanna's things. She's also very manipulative and charismatic. She uses men especially for various purposes to get what she wants. She can kind of like make them do anything. She's kind of a textbook psychopath, as we'll talk about as we go along by like the definition.
Okay.
Which also includes manipulating people very much. Her best friend forever, BFF, platonic best friend, is a man who goes by the name of Stretch, who his real name is Gary. I didn't get his last name, but Stretch is a very large, tall man, like a ridiculously tall guy, big guy. So they're kind of like this little, but they're this like a crime duo, right? This like smaller, diminutive girl and this big, giant dude.
Right.
So Joanna ends up living in an apartment in Peterborough where thankfully her kids are far away. And Kevin Lee is her landlord, and Kevin, perhaps recognizing Joanna's, let's say, intensity as a person, he actually starts using her, unfortunately, as a kind of strongman, a kind of rent collector to make sure his tenants pay up, which is not that cool of Kevin.
Which is such, like, that's so crazy to me that, like,
it's a little weird
using a woman to like do, like, that's great, girl power, but like it's weird. It's
not for this. No.
Yeah.
So many of the folks in this building, I think Kevin's like a little bit of a slumlord, if we'll say. Many of these people were down their luck and having issues, and they're basically just kind of co-bullying them. I mean, you know how we feel about landlords, so so she and Kevin also start having a sexual relationship in exchange, kind of ish, for her rent collecting enforcement services.
Okay.
She also gets to live rent free, so this is what she's getting out of it.
Yeah, because I was like, it feels like right now he's getting like the better end of the deal, but now she has some.
We're also rent free.
Yeah. Okay.
She's also carrying on a different relationship with a Polish man named Lukas Sabozewski. Probably almost did that right. He's 31. And so I realized my podcast writing isn't that great here because I just jumped right into the murder. So here we go with very little transition.
Hey, you know what? That's fine. That's
Joanna doesn't have a lot of buildup or narrative about why this started happening. There's no like, oh, she was wrong to buy. There's not like a lot of like prelude.
Yeah, some people just are evil and they suck, and this is what they do.
Yeah, she decides to basically lure out Lucas to a property, which I read is kind of like an abandoned property.
Okay.
And she stabs him in the heart. Stabs him to death. Lucas, her second boyfriend. She stuffs his body in a wheelie trash bin, which she just casually takes to her apartment and keeps in her apartment, and takes pictures of the body and shows to like 8 people, like various people.
So she's just brilliant. On top of everything else, she's smart. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Lucas went missing on March 19th. So yeah, we are almost to the 10-year anniversary in a week.
Crazy. Yeah.
And he was last seen on ATM CCTV footage going to meet her. So it's later on it's put together because he was like, I'm going to meet Joanna, you know?
Right.
On the 29th, 10 days later, wouldn't you know it, Kevin Lee, the landlord, is reported missing. He's gone.
Oh, that's so strange.
And that same day, his car is found on fire. It's burning.
Jesus. That doesn't draw like attention at all.
Yeah. So basically, sorry, I did a little bit of murders out of order here. There's so many murders. So she didn't also, Joanna, basically she has roommates, which can you imagine being this person's roommate? She didn't get along with one of her roommates, a 56-year-old man named John Chapman. And on March 29th, she starts the day by stabbing John Chapman, the roommate, in the head and neck, killing him.
So we're at number 3 now. We're up to 3.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then that same day, she murders Kevin. So I had it slightly out of order. She kills John, and then like in the afternoon, she kills Kevin. When she stabs Kevin to death, after he's dead, she dresses his body in a black sequined dress and leaves him in a ditch, posing him in a humiliating way with the dress kind of pulled up. So he was nude below the waist.
Whoa.
Yes.
She's like, this is crazy. This is a very like, this sounds like, I don't know how to say this without getting like hate, but this sounds like a dude.
Yeah.
The way that she's doing this is it's a very like masculine like MO, and like
it is, especially the posing and the nudity and the humiliation of it all. It's very like late 70s male serial killer. Yeah.
It really is.
It's super weird. Yeah. It's unusual. Definitely going against your stereotypes about like a female killer's MO, you know?
Okay. I just want to make sure that like I'm not crazy for saying that.
No, it makes sense.
Like, yeah.
It's wild. So yeah, and so that's why it's like the ditch murders, because of the guy in the ditch. And the day after Kevin is reported missing, on the 30th, a man walking his dog discovered the body. And this discovery of Kevin's body, even though she's killed 3 people by now, this is what starts the police trying to find her.
Oh.
And being like, oh, what's up with Joanna, right?
Something's actually happening here. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as police investigate the murder, they basically come to Joanna because they find that Kevin and her had been texting like a lot. They're in the phone records, right? And they find that Joanna and Stretch's phones pinged to that ditch area exactly when the body was being dumped. So there's like boop, 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 boop.
Oh, wow. Okay. So wait, but how did they figure out it was her? Just because of like the proximity to the victims, or
because that's like everyone knows they're besties and like you know, in a relationship, and the phone records put them together.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So police are like, we got to find Joanna and Stretch, but now they go on the run. Right now they're Bonnie and Clyde, or so they think, but Bonnie and Clyde were stupid too. We'll talk about it.
It's like a B movie role, like version.
B list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheap budget version.
Yeah. Not that they were great, but like it's even worse.
No. So they go on a road trip together with I won't say together with, they actually quasi abduct this person, Mark, who's like last time I didn't get, but it doesn't really matter. They just make Mark come with them. Mark's like, God damn it, in the backseat. Like, Jesus Christ.
So he's
there.
Yeah, he's just like kind of against his will, but not necessarily like a hostage so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they go on a road trip. They drive to Haverford, and along the way, they rob a gas station, which is seen later on terrifying CCTV footage. As she's pointing a gun at someone, and it's very scary. They then hold up another gas station along the way, with Joanna threatening the clerk with her fancy knife. And she's having a lot of fun in this footage. She's just like smiling. She's like loving it 100%.
Right.
Then as they're driving around, boop, 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 more road tripping, she tells Stretch to find me one, which apparently they understood to mean a random victim.
Like, let's find somebody to kill. Find me someone to kill. Ooh.
Yes. So they pull up on a man who was just walking his dog along the sidewalk, and she jumps out and like jumps on his back and just brutally stabs him repeatedly to death.
She just...
Yep.
That's fucking crazy.
like a monkey, stabbing monkey. Gets him. Fucking
just
horrible,
like on
dude.
his back. And this is just some completely fucking random dude.
Yeah. Just walking his dog. Yeah.
That's so fucked up.
They then drive around a bit more before they essentially want to do the same exact thing again.
Jesus
They pull up to
Christ.
another man. I did not get their names, but it doesn't matter. I don't know. They pull up to another man who's walking his dog, and Joanna jumps out and the same exact thing, jumps on him, attacks him, stabs him. He tells his story later, and it's horrific.
Okay,
by the way,
die.
no, sorry. Actually, both of these guys survived.
Oh,
I take it back. I misspoke.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
I was like, that's
researcher.
kind of crazy.
No. Both of the dog walkers actually survived, despite being stabbed like a lot,
a gajillion times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
So both of these guys' stories are horrific. This second guy describes being surprised from behind by the stabs. Again, she kind of like jumps on them.
Right.
And as he fell back, like was like looking up at her, falling on the ground, he said that Joanna said, quote, "Oh, look, you're bleeding. I better do some more."
What the fuck? Also, that's so dumb. I'm sorry. It's like, it sounds like she was like practicing it. Like she wanted to fucking say something cool.
Yeah.
You know?
And then she also, this is a psychopath manipulation thing here. She also gets in telling him, quote, "My boyfriend told me to do this," which I think this is her trying to like think maybe I'll do that story later. Like,
oh my God.
which she doesn't ultimately, but I think she was like loosely mapping that out.
She's ridiculous. Okay. All right.
So she, I forget how they catch up with her, but they do pretty quickly after the second stabbing because they're on her tail, like literally like, you know, like fucking, trying to, like my car sounds.
I do. I like that. It was very like descriptive. I understood exactly what's happening. It was
They're
great.
getting her. So when Joanna is arrested, and thankfully, she took his dog, the second guy's dog. She took the dog.
Oh no!
Thankfully, the dog is retrieved safely. It was fine.
Okay.
Thank God. But Stretch escaped, but later he and Mark are also arrested. Mark will later get off, by the way. He's fine. They realize that he was just sort of there. When Joanna is arrested, this is really something. The CCTV footage of her being processed into intake is insane. It's really something to watch. I recommend it if you just want to be amazed. After she's having, again, a great time. And after being told her charges, she starts flirting with the cops. She compliments their eyebrows.
That's a weird one.
She compliments how they arrested her, saying that you acted perfectly, like, good job arresting me.
Fuck, I'm sure they're like, yeah, we don't fucking care. Like, we don't need your validation. We're not like some weird, like, slumlord or like your weird best friend. We don't give a shit. Like,
this is my favorite Joanna Dennehy quote. When they ask her how much she's had to drink that day, she says that she had a half a bottle of whiskey that morning. And then she says that she's had, quote, she's had a really hectic week.
You fucking think.
Like as if she's attributing the drinking to like, I just had a hectic week, you know?
Good Lord.
All the murdering I've had to do.
Yeah, it's very hectic. Very hectic.
And she's smiling and cheerful. She says, "Would you be cheery if you were up for attempted murder?" I'm still smiling.
What the fuck? Oh, she's drunk.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, this is just ridiculous. Like,
no, she's also drunk, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But also just saying like attempted murder, like, girl, we know what you did. Like, come on.
Yeah. So in the interview, despite her friendly drunk demeanor at the intake, when she's interviewed, she just does like no comment. She doesn't actually talk. Because she initially wants to do like a not guilty thing, which in 2 seconds, I'll tell you, she quits. So it's only after she's arrested that investigators put her together with the murders of John Chapman and Lucas. Originally, it was just the dog walker attacks and Kevin. So then they're like, oh, boop, 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 boop. You know,
so now they've got,
They put it all together, partially because they also go back to her apartment. They find fuck tons of evidence of the murders. She had done no cleaning.
Yeah, it's not like she's trying to hide it. Like,
they find a blood-soaked mattress with like just like murder victim blood, just like blood just dumped on it.
Ugh. Jesus.
And in an early court appearance, Joanna surprises everyone by flipping, and she also surprises her lawyers by just saying, "Nah, I plead guilty," and just admits to everything.
Just like, that's it. No.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. All right.
She was given a very rare whole life sentence, quote unquote, which means she will actually never get out. That UK does not give them out easily.
Right.
This honor has actually only been shared by 2 other British women in history, Rosemary West and Myra Hindley.
Oof. all deserving. I would say of the
Yeah.
three, this one, she's the least deserving of the three. I'm gonna say.
I mean, she's
A million's a million. I always say that. Like, it's like she definitely deserves it, but like,
it's
if you
hard to
were,
get more evil than those other two ladies. Yeah.
yeah, like if they
That's
were,
hard.
if somebody was like, Cindy, out of these three, who would you like possibly give parole to? I'd be like, this one. This one.
I
for
mean,
sure.
it's because they were also killing children. That does add a special, like,
100%.
you know.
That's why.
But yeah, so you can see why she's in the club, though.
Yes, I can. For sure.
When she gets the sentence, she laughs because she's very cool. She's trying to make everyone think like, ha ha ha, I'm, fucking outlaw.
I don't care. I'm too
yeah.
cool. Like, no, girl, no.
That's what she's going for. I collect knives, um, and she at court actually tells everyone that she's sorry for the dog walker attacks, the random ones, but not the murders of the first three men because they deserved it.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can see. Like, the dog walker ones are very fucking weird and random and like not at all, like, they don't make sense to me. So I can understand at least a little bit why she, like, I get where she's coming from there. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree to a point.
So Stretch ends up getting life with a minimum term of 19 years, so he will get parole.
Oh.
I think Joanna really was the lead murderer. He was really the accomplice.
Yeah.
And Mark, who was, didn't get any charges, like I said. Mm-hmm. But is Joanna done doing weird stuff? No, there's a few more things.
No. Okay.
No, there's a few more things she wanted to do. And who knows what she's up to. She's only like 40 now, so she still has time.
Okay.
So after she was in prison, her diary was discovered, and in it, because they go through their people's stuff.
Yeah.
She detailed her plans to murder a female guard, cut off the guard's finger, and use it to open a door and escape. That was her plan.
Because this was definitely recently enough that you could like use like technology to get in and out of shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
She was gonna do that. She didn't. She also later tried to appeal, saying that to put in a complaint, basically saying that being put in solitary confinement because she had been threatening guards in that diary. Violated her human rights, which, I mean, side note, it kind of does.
Yeah, but, agreed. No, I agree.
But she lost this appeal. In 2018, she also filed a lawsuit to be allowed to marry her girlfriend in prison and have the prison pay for the wedding. No, this did not work.
Yeah, good. That's stupid.
Then more stuff coming. Then her and her girlfriend were found with injuries to their throats, knife injuries, in a failed suicide pact attempt? ? Huh. It's unclear if it was how real it was or not.
Yeah.
But it sounds like to me from this very intense prison relationship that she just can't stop like manipulating people through relationships. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely
her MO.
like her. That's her fucking.
Just gonna keep
trick.
doing it.
Yeah, she's like a bit of a one-trick pony here. Like it's a two trick: manipulating people through like sexual relationships and like murdering people. Like those are her two things.
She still wants to do it. Yeah,
she's still trying to make it happen.
Still doing it.
Yeah,
exactly. So I don't know if they're still together or not. Word's out on that.
Yeah.
Last thing I found on her was a January 2022 article. Oh, wait. So as of a year ago, I guess they are together. A January 2022 article reported that according to her prison fiance, she still laughs about her murders all the time and has zero remorse. And she called herself a committed psychopath. She's committed to being a psychopath because she's so cool.
Well, I mean, I don't understand why she'd want to get out. Like, she's got her wifey in prison and like everything she could ever need.
I mean, she didn't appeal to get out. I don't think she appealed to not be in solitary.
Which honestly, like,
no one should be.
Yeah, people see things so black and white in the world, and it's really sad to me. Like, yes, she's a horrible piece of shit, but like, does that make it okay to abuse her human rights? Like
no, that's a thing where it's like no one.
Like nobody
doing that.
It's so weird to me how people justify bad behavior with like other people's bad behavior, and it's like you understand that doesn't make any difference in reality, like in the long run. Like you're still horrible. I don't understand. I don't understand people.
Joanna Dennehy, she's still who knows? She might make the headlines again because she likes to do crazy stuff. Yeah,
maybe she'll get wild and try to cut off somebody else's finger. Who knows?
Yeah, watch your fingers, man.
Yeah, watch your fingers. If you're a guard, watch your fingers. Yeah. Jeez. All right, guys. Well, that is the first half. It felt good getting back into it.
Yes, back in the saddle.
Yeah, so we'll be back sorry we're a day late on this one, guys. We're doing the best we can. We'll be back in a few days with part 2, the second part of these spree murderers. And I guess that's all we gotta say. So
Yeah.
until the next episode,
Hey.
off our
Liz.
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 Have 'em. Liz. Bye.